Crack open a normal soft-boiled egg. The white is firm and set, and the yolk runs out, golden and liquid. Now crack open a Japanese onsen egg. Everything is backwards. The white is loose, soft, and barely set, almost like a delicate cloud, but the yolk is thick, glossy, and custardy, holding its shape like jam. It is the exact opposite of the egg you know, and here is the strangest part. It was never boiled. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly how that is possible, and you will understand eggs better than most people who cook them every single day. There is one simple rule hiding inside every egg, so let's decode it. It is the kind of thing that sounds obvious once you hear it, yet almost nobody actually stops to think about it. Here is the secret, right up front. An egg is not one food. It is two completely different foods that just happen to share a shell. The white and the yolk are made of different proteins, and those proteins set, or firm up, at different temperatures. That one fact is the whole key. Master it, and you can cook an egg in ways that feel almost magical. Soft-boiled, hard-boiled, poached, onsen. They are all just different points on one single temperature scale. So let's look at what is really going on inside that shell. And quickly, before we go deeper, thank you for actually watching this, instead of just scrolling past it. Stick around, because the reason this egg exists comes from a place you would never expect. Let's start with the science, simply. When you heat an egg, the proteins inside slowly unfold and link together. That linking is what turns a runny liquid into a firm solid. Cooks call it coagulation, and it is the same process whether you fry, boil, or poach. But here is the crucial detail, and it is the heart of everything. The white and the yolk reach that solid point at different temperatures. The yolk actually begins to thicken at a lower temperature than you might think, somewhere around 65 degrees Celsius. Hold it right there, and it turns soft, creamy, and custardy. Push it just a little hotter though, and it firms up fast. The yolk has a surprisingly narrow comfort zone. The white is more stubborn. It only starts to fully set at a higher temperature, closer to 80 degrees. This is the opposite of what most people assume. We picture the yolk as the runny part, but left to temperature alone, the yolk actually sets first. Now think about what that means. There is a narrow temperature window, roughly 65 to 70 degrees, where something special happens. In that window, the yolk gently sets into a thick custard, but the white never gets hot enough to fully firm up. So you end up with a set, creamy yolk inside a soft, loose white. The complete reverse of a normal egg. It feels almost upside down the first time you see it. Your brain expects the yolk to run, and it simply does not. That is exactly what an onsen egg is. It is an egg held patiently in that perfect window for 30 or 40 minutes. No rushing, no rolling boil. Just gentle, steady heat at one precise temperature. Time does part of the work that heat normally would. The long, gentle hold lets the yolk set, while the white never quite catches up. Quick note before the second half. I have full, separate breakdowns of the dashi broth and the famous ramen egg that connect to this one. You will find them at the end of this video and linked in the description, so if one grabs you, you can head straight there. Now you can see why boiling water ruins this completely. Boiling water sits at 100 degrees. At that heat, both the yolk and the white race past their setting points almost instantly. The white turns rubbery, and the yolk goes chalky and firm. Boiling is all force and speed. It cooks an egg by overpowering it. With a hard boil, a few seconds can be the difference between perfect and overdone. You get almost no control at all. The onsen method is the opposite. It is all patience and precision. It coaxes the egg, instead of attacking it. You are not really cooking the egg hard. You are holding it at the exact temperature where only the yolk gives in. And that brings us to the strange, beautiful origin of the name. Onsen tamago literally means hot spring egg. Because that is exactly where it began. Japan is covered in natural hot springs called onsen. Some of those springs sit at almost precisely the right temperature, around 65 to 70 degrees. And someone, long ago, realized something clever. They lowered raw eggs into the spring water and simply left them there. The earth itself was holding the perfect temperature, for free. No timer, no thermometer, no fuel. Just the right spring and a little patience. After a while, they pulled out eggs with set, custardy yolks and soft, silky whites. Nature had become the cooking pot. That is such a Japanese idea. Not forcing the result, but finding the exact conditions where it happens on its own. The spring did the cooking, and the cook just chose the spring. Patience replaced effort entirely. Today it is made with careful equipment instead of springs. But the principle is identical. And so is the magic. A pot of water held just off the boil, a rice cooker on warm, or a precise water bath all do the same job. They simply recreate that hot spring temperature. So how do you actually eat one of these eggs? Usually, very gently. An onsen egg is often served in a small cup with a little sweet dashi and soy broth poured around it. You break the soft white, and the rich yolk melts into the broth. It is also spooned on top of other dishes, where it becomes an instant, luxurious sauce. On rice, on a donburi, on curry, even on a salad. There is no cooking and no stirring involved. You just break it, and the plate suddenly looks restaurant-made. The moment you break that custardy yolk, it coats everything in silky richness. It is one of the simplest ways to make a dish feel special. Many Japanese set meals and breakfasts include one for exactly that reason. A single egg, quietly upgrading the entire tray. An onsen tamago is just one member of a much bigger family. The Japanese are, quite simply, obsessed with eggs. There is the marinated, jammy egg that tops a bowl of ramen. There is tamagoyaki, the sweet, layered, rolled omelet. There is raw egg stirred straight into hot rice, and savory steamed egg custards. Each one treats the egg as something worth real care and attention. In Japan, even a convenience store egg can be a small piece of craft. The humble egg is taken seriously at every level. The onsen egg might be the purest example of all. It celebrates the egg by doing almost nothing to it, except getting the temperature exactly right. But here's what most people miss. The onsen egg is not really a recipe at all. It is an idea. The idea that an egg is two foods in one, each with its own perfect moment. The real lesson was never about hot springs, or even about eggs. It is about choosing precision over force. Most cooking tries to push ingredients to a result with high heat. This dish does the opposite and waits for the result to arrive on its own. It trusts the ingredient instead of fighting it. Get the conditions right, and the food almost cooks itself. And that simple insight has quietly conquered modern cooking. The same low, exact temperature idea is now the heart of sous vide, used in top restaurants everywhere. Chefs now hold steak, fish, and vegetables at precise temperatures in exactly the same way. The onsen egg was centuries ahead of its time. A technique born in a Japanese hot spring is now behind some of the most precise cooking on the planet, all from understanding one egg. So here is your takeaway. An egg is two different foods, and they set at two different temperatures. Onsen tamago lives in the narrow gap between them, where the yolk sets but the white stays soft. Precision, not power. Once you understand that gap, the egg stops being a mystery. You start to see a simple rule instead of a magic trick. Now I would genuinely love to know, would you try an egg with a custardy yolk and a loose white, or does that sound too strange? Tell me in the comments. And here is the one moment I will actually ask. If this changed how you think about a simple egg, leave a like. It really helps the channel grow. And subscribe if you want more of Japanese Food Decoded, one dish at a time. To go deeper right now, the video on the left breaks down the marinated egg that crowns a bowl of ramen, and on the right, you can decode miso, another pillar of Japanese flavor. See you in the next one!